Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Friday, December 18th special meeting of the Berlin Board of Education. First, we are going to call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is discussion of election results. So before I say anything, I'm just going to open it up and we can just have a discussion around the election results. Brian, would you like to start, or Tim, who would like to start us out with that?
I think I can start and then I can let Tim add in. The current election and the results with Carrie Sasser running and Tim Oakes running for what were 2-3 year the vacant seats. Carrie was the higher vote getter, so Carrie received one of the 3-year terms. Tim thought that he would, being the second vote getter, as the second person who ran, would receive the other 3-year term. In talking to the clerk upstairs at the town, that was not the case. And so the belief is that Tim would only be entitled to a 2-year term because he was the second highest vote getter, because there was a 2-year term also open. There's been some discussion with the town clerk. The town clerk has spoken to the town attorney regarding the charter and how the charter reads and what's appropriate. They believe that Tim is entitled to a 2-year term. As Tim read the charter, and I looked at it also, and I know others may have too, there seems to be some ambiguity with whether it should be a 2-year or a 3-year term based on the positions being open. So that drew some discussion, and I'm going to let Tim take it from there. If there's further, I know, Tim, you may have had further conversations with the town clerk, or if I have not represented it in its entirety, please add.
Thank you, Brian. Tim Oakes, board member. I don't think there's much else that really needs to be addressed. I mean, that's pretty straightforward as to the specifics as to why we are where we are. I think the details beyond will come where they go into the future. So, I mean, we're here at the point of needing to take this to the next level, which starts to involve some representation and some actions beyond conversations with the clerk's office and the town manager and the town attorney. So, Julie, I'll throw it back to you.
Thank you. And to that point, you know, as Tim and I were having conversation around this matter, this could essentially happen to any of us at any point. And with the process of us being a nonpartisan Board of Ed, we get our petition, we go out and do the work to get all the registered voter signatures. You know, not to mention Tim and Carrie did that this year during COVID when things were even more difficult, even though you guys were able to do it through email. From the sounds of it, it sounded more complex. However, you know, we could all be in this situation. And I think that's, you know, why we have come here today as a Board of Education to have this discussion. Is there anything else anyone would like to add around the discussion of election results? Okay, so then we had our discussion, so we're going to move on to item 3, attorney-client release. So we will be utilizing Shipman and Goodwin, who is our attorney. That's who we as the Board of Education used, and we actually just approved that in our December or November meeting, one of our meetings most recently. Would anyone else like to add anything about the attorney-client release, or do you want to just get into make the motion, have the discussion, and then have a vote?
I'm fine with sharing. Brian Bedingny, superintendent. We've had to have releases before in the past, just to remind the board, when we were talking about the security staff, because the security staff is paid for by the town, but yet supervised by the board, and the whole notion of being armed. We had to get into a similar agreement with the town where because Shipman represents both the town and the board, we have to sign an agreement that they're going to release responsibilities and we're going to allow them to represent both. So it's not as though this hasn't happened before. I know in 2 other cases where we've had to have releases signed also similar.
Thank you for clarifying that, Brian. Before we move on with discussion, can I entertain a motion? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Julie, this is Steve here. I'll move the vice Shipman and Goodwin to advise and represent the board with respect to a determination by the town of Berlin regarding the length of term of office for one member of a board following the November 2020 election of the board members. And move further that the board waive the conflict of interest involved in Shipman and Goodwin's representation of the board in this matter, as Shipman and Goodwin serves as labor counsel to the town, and the town is therefore a client of Shipman and Goodwin for matters unrelated to this matter.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
So the motion was made by Stephen Jenkins, seconded by Mark Prusen. Now I'll open it up for discussion.
I got something here I'd like to ask just for clarification now. What we are going to do is be sure that based on the attorney looking into this, is that would it be just Tim's term being 3 years, or everyone, anytime they run would be a 3-year term?
So moving forward, the situation Mr. Oakes is in could happen to any of us. So next year, we're going to have 6 vacancies. And if only 2 of us run, one of us with the lower votes may get a 1 or 2 year term, whatever's available, and not get the full 3-year term after going out and doing the work. So based on the way the town charter reads, looking into this and having Shipman and Goodwin represent us, they will then hopefully rectify this matter moving forward as well. So it will benefit Tim in this situation, but also all of us down the road as we go out and get our petition signed. Is there anything anyone else would like to add about that if I didn't cover it all?
Well, let me ask you this too, Julia. So if, say, all 6 people next year go ahead and run to fill the current vacancies what we have. So you'd have a 3-year term, a 2-year term. What would the rest of the other terms be then?
Next year, we're going to have 3 3-year terms, and then I think the rest are all 1-year terms. So I apologize. So we're going to have 3 3-year terms, the rest 1-year terms. If 6 of us run, 6 of us will get on the board, and it goes in order from highest vote getters to lowest vote getters. However, if 2 of us run for 6 open seats, that's when this issue is going to come back up. This issue hasn't come up in quite some time. So that's the only reason why this is now just coming up, and it's the way the town charter is being interpreted. Did that answer your question?
Yes, that answered my question, but it just seems, you got people that are interested in running for the board, and, like you have so many people running every year, then you got to go back through the same process for another 1-year term. If there's that many people that are going to be involved, say there's 3 people, you're going to have a 3, a 2, and another person with the 1-year term. Say, and then if that person with the 1-year term, like say, for example, next year, a person gets a 1-year term, then the following year they have to run again, and say they're lower on the votes, they have to go through the same process, which is another 1-year term. It seems there's a lot of redundancy there, and it just seems like it's going to be it takes a lot of time for people to do this, and you may lose people's interest for the board if you have to continue to do this.
I think, next year, let's say 6 of us run and the 3 lower vote getters get a 1-year term. That's just part of it. And there's members of the board who that has happened for before, and that's how it goes. I think in this situation, it's more challenging because there were a number of open seats. I apologize about the noise in the background. There were a number of open seats and only 2 people running. So he technically should have gotten a higher, he should have gotten a 3-year term, but instead he got a lesser term, a 2-year term. So Tim, can you speak a little more to it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Mark, this doesn't necessarily change that notion that you're talking about, where the potential exists in any year that we have a shorter term. The lowest vote getter could repeatedly wind up with a 1-year term. This is the charter is very clear that the top 3 vote getters should be awarded the 3-year terms. And if there are shorter terms available, then vote getter number 4, vote getter number 5, vote getter number 6, et cetera, as necessary, would receive those shorter terms. And they might be 2-year terms, they might be 1-year terms. That varies from year to year. In an ideal situation, we don't have anything more than 3-year terms on the ballot for election, and however many people have come out to run for those positions is what's coming out. The next year will certainly be a tumultuous year given the resignations and failure to petition and be on the board this year with those multiple 1-year terms. And we have had that in the past, as Julia has mentioned. We have had some years where 6 positions have been up with 3 3s, 2 2s, 1 1, and 8 people have run for those 6 spots. And it follows up the following year with 3 people running for 3 spots because it was a quiet year. So
yeah, and to that point, Tim, every year I've run, there's been multiple seats open based on my 3-year slate. But, the year Adam, Tracy, and I got on, we were the 3 highest vote getters, so we got 3-year terms.
Okay, thank you for the clarity. That explains it a little bit better. Thank you.
Is there any other questions around this motion? Any other discussion that we want to have? Okay, so Steve, were you going to add something? I saw you unmute briefly.
No, I think we're all set. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna have a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Can everyone just hold their hand up so we can count? 1, 2, 3. Okay, thanks. All those opposed? And Tim, did you abstain from voting?
I'll take an abstention, yes.
Okay, so the vote carries 6-0 with 1 abstention. Okay. So we only have one more thing on our agenda. We need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 7-0. Thank you, everyone, for this meeting. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you, Julia.